My son texted me 6 words that ended everything. Don't come. Ashley's against you. $50,000. 18 months of checks for a wedding I wasn't even invited to. I'm looking at my banking app right now. 36,000 already withdrawn. Gone. Just like that. The other 14,000? I stopped those checks 2 hours ago. You know that feeling when your chest goes cold but your face goes hot? When you can't tell if you're about to scream or throw up? That's where I am. Sitting in my living room in suburban Ohio, staring at a phone screen until the words blur. But here's what Ashley Morrison doesn't know. By the time I'm done, she'll be in handcuffs. She'll lose everything. And my son, he'll finally see exactly who he almost married. 18 months earlier, my life was simple. Quiet. Maybe too quiet. I'm Margaret Patterson, 68 years old. Retired English teacher, 30 years at Westlake High School. My husband Robert died 5 years ago, left me the house and enough savings to be comfortable. Not rich, just comfortable. Daniel was all I had left. My son, 33 years old, graphic designer, though that's generous. He bounced between jobs like a pinball, never quite finding his footing. I helped with rent when he was short, car repairs when his transmission died, a few thousand here and there when things got tight. What else are mothers for? I never kept track, never asked for receipts. He was my kid, my only kid. Robert used to say I spoiled him, but Robert also slipped Daniel 20s every time he visited. We both did it. We couldn't help ourselves. Then Ashley showed up. 18 months ago. June. Daniel brought her to Sunday dinner, and I knew something was different the second they walked through my door. She was blonde, bright smile, designer bag that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. The kind of woman who looks expensive just standing still. Daniel couldn't stop touching her. His hand on her back, her shoulder, like he was afraid she'd float away if he let go. Mom, this is Ashley. Ashley Morrison. She hugged me. Smelled like something French. Her smile never reached her eyes, but I told myself I was being paranoid. I'd been alone too long. I was projecting. Daniel talks about you constantly, she said. I feel like I already know you. We had pot roast. She barely ate. Mentioned she was watching carbs while Daniel hung on every word, like she was reciting poetry. After dinner, while Ashley was in the bathroom, Daniel grabbed my arm. His face was lit up like Christmas morning. She believes in me, Mom. She sees my potential. No one's ever looked at me the way she does. I should have said something. Right there, right then. But what was I supposed to say? That her smile seemed rehearsed? That I noticed her scanning my living room, pricing everything? I kept my mouth shut, smiled, told him I was happy for him. Big mistake. 3 months later, Daniel called, asking for $5,000. Ashley needed emergency dental work, something about a root canal and a crown. Her insurance didn't cover it, and she was between jobs. I'll pay you back, Mom. I promise. I wrote the check that afternoon. That was the first one, $5,000. July. By September, the requests were rolling in steady. Ashley's car needed repairs. Ashley's apartment had a water leak, and she needed first and last for a new place. Ashley's laptop died, and she needed one for job hunting. Every time. Daniel called with that same tight voice. Every time. I wrote the check. I tried to bring it up once. We were at Applebee's, used to be our place for birthdays. I waited until Ashley went to the restroom. Honey, I'm worried about the money situation. Maybe you two should slow down a little. Get your feet under you. Daniel's face changed. I watched it happen. The warmth just drained out. You don't even know her, he said. His voice was cold. She's going through a rough time. Not everyone had it as easy as you. Easy. Like bearing my husband was easy. Like raising him alone was easy. I didn't push it. Couldn't risk him walking away from dinner. From me. That's the thing about manipulation. It happens so slowly you don't notice until you're already drowning. Ashley was isolating him, cutting away the people who might see what she really was. Sunday dinners went from every week to every other week, then once a month. Then Daniel would cancel last minute. Something came up. Ashley's not feeling well. We'll reschedule. When we did see each other, Ashley dominated every conversation. She talked about her plans, her dreams, her frustrations with everyone who'd ever wronged her. She never asked about my life, never mentioned Robert. Daniel used to talk about his dad all the time, but Ashley steered away from anything before her arrival. Daniel's focused on his future now, she told me once. Not the past. Translation. I was the past. November came. Daniel called. But this time his voice was different. Excited. Nervous. Mom, we're engaged. My stomach dropped. But I said congratulations. What else could I say? That's wonderful, honey. When's the wedding? Spring. April. Ashley wants something beautiful. She answered his phone for the rest of that call. I don't know when she picked it up. Maybe she'd been listening the whole time. Margaret, we're so excited. But we'll need help with costs, of course. Daniel's income is limited. Of course. Of course they'd need help. The ring cost 3 months of Daniel's salary. I found that out later. He financed it. Put it on a credit card with 17% interest. For a woman he'd known less than a year, December through March was a blur of invoices and requests. Venue deposit $5,000, catering $8,000, photographer $12,000, flowers, rentals, the dress, alterations, invitations. Every time Daniel called, Ashley was coaching him. I could hear her in the background sometimes, whispering what to say. Mom, the photographer requires full payment up front. They're really popular, and Ashley's worried they'll book someone else. Mom, the caterer needs the final headcount deposit. Ashley found this incredible venue, but it's competitive. By April, I'd written checks totaling $47,000. My savings account looked like a crime scene. Money I'd saved over 30 years, gone in 18 months. But it was for Daniel's happiness. That's what I told myself. He'd found someone, he'd settle down. He'd have the life Robert and I wanted for him. I waited for the invitation. It never came. I called Daniel in early May. Honey, I haven't received my invitation yet. Is there a problem with the mail? Silence. Then, I'll call you back. He didn't call back. Ashley did. Would you have confronted her right there? Or would you have done what I did? Frozen, waiting, hoping you misunderstood. Comment below, because I still don't know if I made the right call. Her voice was sweet, controlled. The kind of voice people use when they've rehearsed what they're about to say. Margaret, we've been talking, Daniel and I, about the wedding. Is everything okay? We feel it's best if you don't attend. The words didn't make sense. I heard them, but they didn't connect. I'm sorry? Your negative energy and constant judgment have been really damaging to Daniel. He needs to start fresh, with me, without the weight of his past. I couldn't speak. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. We appreciate your financial support, of course, but your presence would be counterproductive. She hung up. I sat there for I don't know how long. Minutes, maybe an hour. The phone felt heavy in my hand. Then Daniel's text came through. 6 words. Don't come. Ashley's against you. Something in my chest went cold. $50,000. 18 months. Sunday dinners and phone calls and checks signed with love. And now this. She'd taken my money. Now she'd taken my son. I walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, set it down without drinking. My hands were shaking, but my mind was getting very, very still. There's this moment, maybe you felt it, when hurt stops being hurt, when it crystallizes into something harder, colder, something that looks a lot like clarity. I picked up my phone, called the bank. I need to report potential fraud, and I need to stop payment on 3 checks. The representative was confused, asked me to explain. My son's fiancée requested $50,000 for wedding expenses. I was just disinvited from the wedding. I believe she may have misrepresented how the money would be used. Stop payment went through on 14,000. The other 36 already withdrawn, already gone. I thanked her. Hung up, opened my laptop, started searching. Elder financial abuse. Romance scam patterns. How to investigate someone's background. The results were ugly. Familiar. I wasn't the first mother this had happened to. Not by a long shot. That night, I didn't cry. Didn't call my friends. Didn't pour wine and feel sorry for myself. I created a spreadsheet. Every payment, every date, every excuse Daniel had given me. 5,000 for dental work. But Ashley's smile was perfect. Always had been. 8,000 for catering. But what caterer charges that much for a spring wedding? 12,000 for photography. But the photographer Daniel mentioned, I looked up their website. Their most expensive package was 4,000. The numbers didn't add up. None of them did. I'd been writing checks based on lies. The pattern was right there, clear as day. I just hadn't wanted to see it. My son had fallen for a con artist, and I'd funded every step of her game. The question was, what was I going to do about it? I looked at my spreadsheet, looked at my phone, looked at the empty chair where Robert used to sit. Trust your gut, Maggie. That's what he always said. It's rarely wrong. My gut had been screaming for 18 months. I'd ignored it because I loved my son, because I wanted to believe the best. I was done believing. Ashley Morrison thought she'd won. She thought I'd cry and disappear and let her have everything, my money, my son, my silence. She picked the wrong mother. I closed my laptop, took a breath. Tomorrow, I was going to find out exactly who Ashley Morrison really was. And when I did, she was going to wish she'd never heard my name. The morning after everything fell apart, I woke up at 4 a.m. with my laptop still open next to me. You ever have one of those nights where your brain just won't shut off? Where you're running numbers and replaying conversations and building a case against someone while staring at the ceiling? That was me. 3 hours of broken sleep, and my mind was sharper than it had been in months. Anger will do that to you. First thing I did was call the bank again. Different representative, this time younger voice, more patient. I explained the situation, all of it. The wedding that wasn't, the fiancé who wasn't, the $50,000 that definitely was. Ma'am, I'm showing the stop payment went through on 3 checks totaling $14,000. But the other 6 checks, already cashed. I know, $36,218. Yes, ma'am. I wrote that number down. $36,218. Gone. The representative walked me through my options. Fraud report, dispute process. The whole thing would take weeks, maybe months. And even then, no guarantees. The checks were written voluntarily, she said carefully. That makes recovery complicated. I thanked her. Hung up. $36,000. Just like that. Gone. But here's the thing about being a teacher for 30 years. You learn how to grade papers. You learn how to spot when a student copied someone else's work. You learn how to find patterns. And Ashley Morrison's homework was full of mistakes. I opened my spreadsheet, started entering everything I could remember. July, $5,000, dental work. September, $3,200, car repairs. October, $4,500, apartment deposit. November, $2,800, laptop for job hunting. $5,000, venue deposit. January, $8,000, catering deposit. February, $7,000. Photographer, $12,000. Final venue payment plus rentals. April, $4,500. Dress, alterations, invitations. I stared at the numbers. Added them up 3 times. Wuen Launsen Meiyuan. Wait, that was more than I'd calculated. I went back through my checkbook. Sure enough, I'd missed 2 smaller payments from September. $1,000 here for bridesmaid gifts, another $500 for save the dates, $52,000. To a woman who just told me my negative energy was too much to handle at her wedding, I wanted to throw something. Instead, I started researching. The venue Daniel mentioned, some place called Lakewood Gardens. I found their website. Prices listed clearly. Wedding package, $2,800 to $4,200 depending on guest count. Ashley had asked for $5,000. The caterer, some company called Elegant Bites, website had pricing, $85 per head for premium packages. Even with 150 guests, that's under $13,000. Ashley had asked for $8,000 deposit plus additional service fees. The photographer. This one I remembered specifically because Daniel had made such a big deal about how exclusive they were. Hartley Photography. I found their Instagram, their website, their pricing guide. Most expensive package, $4,200. Includes all-day coverage, album, and digital files. Ashley had asked for $12,000. My hands were shaking as I typed, not from fear, from fury. Every single expense had been inflated by at least 50%, most by double, some by triple. She hadn't just stolen from me. She'd run a markup scheme on her own fake wedding. I searched elder financial abuse and got 47 million results. You know what I learned? There's a whole industry built around people like Ashley. They even have names for her type. Romance scammer, sweetheart con, family infiltrator. The patterns were textbook. Target someone vulnerable, a widowed parent, usually. Use a romantic partner as the access point. Isolate the target from family and friends. Extract money through emotional manipulation. Disappear before anyone catches on. Ashley hadn't invented anything new. She'd just run the playbook. I found articles about families who'd lost everything. Retirement savings, homes, relationships that never recovered. One story mentioned a support group for victims. Another mentioned lawyers who specialized in this exact thing. Elder financial abuse attorneys. I didn't even know that was a specialty. By noon, I had a list of 3 attorneys in the Cleveland area. One had a website with testimonials from families who'd recovered money. Her name was Patricia Chen. I called her office. Got a receptionist. I'd like to schedule a consultation. My son's fiancée has defrauded me of over $50,000. Silence. Then, can you come in Thursday at 2? Thursday was 3 days away. I said yes. I spent those 3 days building my case. Every check photographed. Every text from Daniel asking for money screenshotted. Every excuse Ashley had given documented with dates and amounts. The vendor research with real prices versus what she'd claimed. I created folders. Digital and physical. Organized everything chronologically. Cross-referenced amounts with my bank statements. By Wednesday night, I had a folder 3 inches thick. 30 years of grading papers finally paid off. Daniel called twice during those 3 days. I let it go to voicemail both times. First message. Mom, Ashley told me you called the bank. What are you doing? You're going to ruin everything. Second message. Mom, please. Can we just talk about this? Ashley says you're making a huge mistake. Ashley says, that phrase again. Ashley says. Like she was pulling his strings and he didn't even notice. I didn't call back. Couldn't trust myself not to say something I'd regret. But Ashley? She left a voicemail too. I saved it. Still have it. Margaret. Her voice was different now. No sweetness, no concern, just cold. I don't know what game you think you're playing, but stopping those checks was pathetic. Pathetic. You're embarrassing yourself and you're hurting Daniel. Call us immediately and fix this, or we'll be forced to take action. Take action. The woman who'd stolen $52,000 was threatening to take action against me. I played that voicemail 4 times. Let her voice sink in. Let the mask finally drop all the way. Good. Now I knew exactly who I was dealing with. Thursday at 2, I walked into Patricia Chen's office, downtown. 10th floor of a building on Euclid Avenue. Professional. quiet, the kind of place where serious things happened. Patricia was about my age, sharp eyes behind designer glasses. She shook my hand, offered me water, and got right to business. Tell me everything. From the beginning. I did. 18 months compressed into 30 minutes. Ashley's arrival, the escalating requests, the isolation, the disinvitation, the stopped checks, the voicemail. Patricia took notes, didn't interrupt. When I finished, she leaned back. You have good instincts, Mrs. Patterson. Most victims don't start documenting this quickly. I was a teacher. Documentation is what we do. She smiled. First time. Here's what I can tell you. What you're describing fits the pattern of elder financial exploitation. In Ohio, that's a felony when amounts exceed $7,500. You're well above that threshold. My chest loosened slightly. Someone believed me. However, she held up one hand. The checks were written voluntarily. Your son requested the money. Proving Ashley orchestrated the fraud will require evidence connecting her directly to the deception. The inflated vendor costs, helpful, but circumstantial. She could claim Daniel handled the vendors, or that prices changed. We need something more direct. I pulled out my phone, played Ashley's voicemail. Pathetic. You're embarrassing yourself. Patricia's eyebrows rose slightly. May I have a copy of that? I'll email it to you tonight. Good. She made another note. I want to send a formal demand letter. Request documentation of all wedding expenses, receipts, contracts, vendor agreements. Copy my firm. If she provides them, we'll see if they match what she told you. If she doesn't, then we know she's hiding something. Exactly. We spent another hour going through my documentation. Patricia was impressed with the spreadsheet. Asked if I'd considered law instead of teaching. My husband used to say the same thing. Before I left, she gave me her honest assessment. If you pursue this, there's a chance you could recover some of the money. But the legal process is slow. And what? There's a real possibility this will permanently damage your relationship with your son. He's under her influence. He may not see the truth until it's too late. I thought about Daniel, his tight voice on those phone calls, the way he defended her at every turn, the text message that ended everything. Don't come. Ashley's against you. The relationship is already damaged, I said. She made sure of that. Patricia nodded. Then let's proceed. The demand letter went out Friday. By Saturday, my phone was blowing up. 6 missed calls from Daniel, 2 from Ashley, texts flooding in every hour from Daniel. Mom, are you serious right now? A lawyer? You hired a lawyer? From Daniel. Ashley is devastated. She says you're trying to destroy us. From Ashley. This is harassment. Our attorney will be in contact. Their attorney. Right. The woman with $60,000 credit card debt had an attorney on retainer. I didn't respond to any of it. Just screenshotted everything and sent it to Patricia. Sunday morning, something strange happened. An email came in from an address I didn't recognize. Subject line, Ashley Morrison. My finger hovered over delete. Probably spam. Or worse, Ashley trying some new angle. But something made me open it. Mrs. Patterson, my name is Megan Lawson. I'm a paralegal at a firm in Cincinnati. I saw your name on a legal filing related to Ashley Morrison, and I need to talk to you. This isn't spam. Ashley did to my father exactly what she's doing to you. Please call me. She included a phone number. I stared at the email for a long time. Then I called. Megan picked up on the second ring. Her voice was young, late 20s maybe. Professional, but urgent. Mrs. Patterson, thank you for calling. I wasn't sure if you would. How did you get my name? I work in legal document processing. Your filing crossed my desk. When I saw Ashley Morrison's name, I almost dropped my coffee. Why? Silence. Then, 3 years ago, Ashley Morrison dated my father. He was 58, widowed, lonely. She swept in like a hurricane. Within 8 months, she'd convinced him to give her $30,000 for, you want to guess what? My stomach turned. Wedding expenses, venue, photographer, caterer. Same playbook. She called it off 6 weeks before the ceremony. Blamed him for being controlling. Took the money and vanished. I sat down hard. $30,000, I repeated. Gone. He never recovered it. Couldn't even press charges because technically he'd given it to her voluntarily. The shame almost killed him. He still doesn't talk about it. My throat felt tight. I'm so sorry. Mrs. Patterson, that's not why I'm calling. Her voice sharpened. After it happened to my father, I did some digging. Ashley Morrison isn't her real name. Or it is, but it's not her only one. What do you mean? She's been Ashley Vance in Colorado, Ashley Brennan in Michigan, probably others I haven't found. Same pattern every time. Find a vulnerable man, get engaged, extract money, disappear. I couldn't breathe. She's a professional, Megan continued. She's been doing this for at least 7 years. And you're not the second victim, Mrs. Patterson. You're at least the 5th. 5 families. Maybe more. 7 years. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. And nobody had stopped her. There's a group, Megan said. Other families she's targeted. We've been sharing information, trying to build a case. But she moves around, changes names. By the time anyone connects the dots, she's already gone. Not this time. Megan paused. What do you mean? I have documentation, receipts, bank records, her voicemail threatening me. And I have an attorney who specializes in elder financial abuse. You're not going to just let this go? Let it go? I almost laughed. She stole $52,000 from me. She turned my son against me. She disinvited me from a wedding that was never going to happen. And now I find out she's done this to at least 4 other families? I stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the neighborhood I'd lived in for 30 years. Megan, I'm 68 years old. I taught high school English for 3 decades. I've dealt with liars and cheaters and kids who thought they were smarter than everyone else. Ashley Morrison is just another student who didn't do her homework. What are you going to do? I'm going to grade her paper. And she's going to fail. I could hear Megan smiling through the phone. Can I share your contact with the other families? They're going to want to talk to you. Please do. And Mrs. Patterson? Whatever you need from me, testimony, documents, anything, I'm in. She almost destroyed my father. I want to watch her burn. I saved Megan's number, hung up, immediately forwarded everything to Patricia. The email, the phone call summary, the names, Morrison, Vance, Brennan. Patricia called me within the hour. This changes things. I figured it might. If we can document a pattern of fraud across multiple states, this isn't just civil anymore. This is criminal. We're talking felony charges, possibly in multiple jurisdictions. My heart was pounding. But steady, controlled. What do you need from me? Everything Megan can provide. Contact information for the other families, and I'm going to hire an investigator, someone who specializes in background searches. If Ashley has multiple identities, we need to find them all. Whatever it takes. Mrs. Patterson, I have to be honest. This is going to get ugly. If Ashley realizes we're building a criminal case, she may escalate. She may try to turn your son against you even further. She may threaten you directly. I thought about her voicemail. Pathetic. You're embarrassing yourself. She already has. Then you understand the stakes. Patricia. I looked at the folder on my kitchen table. 3 inches of evidence. 18 months of lies. My husband died 5 years ago. I raised my son alone. I spent $52,000 trying to make him happy, and I got a text message telling me not to come to his wedding. My voice didn't shake. Not anymore. Ashley Morrison thought she found an easy target. A lonely widow she could milk for cash and discard. She was wrong. I picked up the folder. Felt its weight. We proceed. Whatever it takes. Patricia was quiet for a moment. Then, whatever it takes. I hung up. The sun was setting over my neighborhood. Same view I'd had for 30 years. Same quiet street. Same life I thought I knew. But something had shifted. Ashley Morrison thought she'd stolen everything from me. My money, my son, my peace. She had no idea. Because I just found out I wasn't alone. There were other families out there. Other mothers and fathers who'd been conned by the same woman using the same playbook. And now? We were going to compare notes. This wasn't just about $52,000 anymore. This wasn't just about a wedding I wasn't invited to. This was about stopping a predator who'd been hunting families for 7 years. And I was just getting started. I looked at my phone. No calls from Daniel. No texts from Ashley. They thought I'd back down. Apologize. Write it off as a misunderstanding. They thought wrong. I poured myself a glass of wine, sat in Robert's chair. Tomorrow, I'd start making calls to the other families, building the network, connecting the evidence. But tonight I slept better than I had in 18 months. Because for the first time since Ashley Morrison walked into my life, I wasn't playing defense. I was going on offense. And Ashley had no idea what was coming. Patricia's investigator delivered his report on a Tuesday morning. 16 pages, single-spaced. You ever hold something in your hands that you know is going to change everything? That's what it felt like. 16 pages of truth about the woman who'd been sleeping in my son's bed for 18 months. Ashley Morrison wasn't just a con artist. She was a professional. The investigator had dug deep. Court records, credit reports, social media archives, even tracked down former landlords and employers. What he found made my stomach turn. 3 aliases. Ashley Morrison was just the latest. Before that, she'd been Ashley Vance in Colorado, Ashley Brennan in Michigan. Same social security number, same pattern, different victims. 4 broken engagements in 7 years. 4 different men. 4 different families who'd handed over money for weddings that never happened. 1 actual marriage, 8 months, to a man named James Brennan in Detroit, ended in what the report called a suspiciously quick divorce with substantial financial settlement. Translation: she'd married him, cleaned him out, and moved on. Credit card debt exceeding $60,000 spread across multiple accounts. Some in her name, some in names of men she dated. And here's the part that made me set the report down and just breathe for a minute. The investigator had found a newspaper clipping from 3 years ago. Richard Vance, the ex-fiancé from Colorado. He'd attempted suicide 6 months after Ashley left him. Lost his business, his home, his reputation. He survived. But barely. Ashley Morrison had left a trail of destroyed lives stretching back 7 years. And nobody had stopped her because nobody had connected the dots. Until now. I called Patricia immediately. I got the report. And it's worse than we thought. Much worse. We spent an hour on the phone going through everything. The aliases, the pattern, the suicide attempt. By the end, Patricia's voice had changed. Harder, more focused. This isn't just civil fraud anymore, Margaret. This is criminal. Across state lines. We need to loop in law enforcement. What about Daniel? Silence. He's going to find out eventually. Better it comes from you than from a detective. She was right. I knew she was right. But knowing and doing are 2 different things. Patricia drafted a formal meeting request, sent it to Ashley's last known email, copied Daniel, copied her firm. We're requesting a meeting this Saturday at 2 p.m. to discuss the financial arrangements for the wedding. Please bring all contracts, receipts, and vendor agreements. Professional. Polite. And absolutely devastating if you knew what was coming. Ashley's response came within hours. We'll be there. This harassment ends now. Harassment. Right. The woman who'd stolen $52,000 was accusing me of harassment. Game on. Saturday came fast. I woke up early. Couldn't eat. Showered. Put on my navy suit, the one I used to wear for parent-teacher conferences when I needed to project authority. Robert always said I looked like a district attorney in that suit. Today, that felt appropriate. Patricia's office was quiet when I arrived. Conference room on the 10th floor, long table, water glasses, a folder at Patricia's seat thick enough to stop a bullet. We waited. 2:15. No Daniel, no Ashley. 2:30, still nothing. I was starting to think they'd bailed when the receptionist buzzed. They're here. Daniel walked in first. My heart cracked a little. He looked terrible, pale, exhausted, thinner than I'd seen him in years. Dark circles under his eyes like he hadn't slept in weeks. This was what she'd done to him. This was what love looked like in Ashley's world. Ashley followed. Immaculate designer dress. Perfect makeup. Heels that probably cost more than my monthly utilities. Clothes I'd probably funded. She didn't look at me. Just swept past like I was furniture. They sat on the opposite side of the table. Daniel in the middle, Ashley on his left, hand possessively on his arm. Patricia didn't waste time. Thank you for coming. Before we begin, I'd like to clarify something. She opened her folder, pulled out a single sheet. Miss Morrison, or do you prefer Brennan? Or perhaps Vance? The color drained from Ashley's face, just for a second. Then the mask snapped back. I don't know what you're talking about. Patricia smiled. Cold. Let me refresh your memory. She slid papers across the table. Ashley Vance. Engaged to Richard Vance, Colorado, 2019. Engagement ended 6 weeks before the ceremony. Richard lost approximately $28,000 in wedding deposits that were never recovered. Another paper, Ashley Brennan, married James Brennan, Michigan, 2021. Marriage lasted 8 months. Divorce settlement included $17,000 in spousal support despite the brief duration. Another paper, Ashley Morrison, currently engaged to Daniel Patterson, has received approximately $52,000 from his mother for wedding expenses. Receipts and contracts have not been provided despite multiple requests. Daniel was staring at the papers, his mouth open, eyes moving between the documents and Ashley. Mom, he said quietly. What is this? I wanted to reach across the table and hold him. My baby, my boy. Honey, I've been trying to tell you. Ashley has done this before, multiple times, to multiple families. Ashley laughed, sharp, brittle. This is insane. She's jealous, Daniel. She's been trying to break us up since day one. Now she's making up lies. These aren't lies. Patricia's voice cut through. I have court records, marriage certificates, divorce filings, credit reports, and testimony from other victims. She pulled out another sheet. Megan Lawson's statement. This is from the daughter of Richard Vance, the man Ashley was engaged to in Colorado. He attempted suicide after she left. Daniel's face went gray. Ashley, he said slowly, is any of this true? Ashley grabbed his arm tighter. Her voice went soft, wounded. Baby, you know me. You know I love you. This is all fake. She probably paid someone to create these documents. Bitter old women do this all the time. The pattern is quite clear. Patricia wasn't letting up. Find a vulnerable man. Isolate him from family. Extract money through emotional manipulation. Disappear before anyone catches on. She looked directly at Daniel. Mr. Patterson, I have to ask, did you ever see receipts for the wedding expenses? Did you speak to any vendors yourself? Visit the venue? Daniel was quiet. His hands were shaking. I asked, he said finally. I asked to see the contracts. Ashley said the wedding planner had everything, said I was being paranoid. He turned to her. You said not to worry about it. Ashley's mask was slipping. I could see it in the tightness around her eyes, the way her jaw clenched. Daniel, don't let her manipulate you. She's been against me from the start. Your mother doesn't want you to be happy. She wants you dependent on her forever. Stop. My voice was quiet, steady. Stop lying. Ashley's head snapped toward me. Excuse me? You moved into my son's apartment 2 months after meeting him. You quit your job 1 week later. You've been living off his income and my money ever since. I pulled out my own folder, the spreadsheet. Every payment documented. $5,000 for dental work. Your teeth were already perfect. $8,000 for catering. The caterer's actual price? Under $4,000. $12,000 for photography. Their most expensive package is $4,200. I looked her dead in the eyes. You inflated every expense by at least 50%. You ran a markup scheme on your own fake wedding. Ashley stood up so fast, her chair scraped back against the floor. You have no proof. We have the vendors, Patricia said calmly. We have price lists. We have contracts that don't exist because you never booked anything. We have statements from 4 other families you've done this to. She slid one final document across the table. And we have a deadline. 7 days. Provide receipts for every wedding expense. Or we file civil charges and refer the matter to law enforcement. Ashley's face twisted. For just a second, I saw her. The real her. Behind the makeup and the designer clothes and the practice smiles. Pure rage. You want to play games? She grabbed her purse. Fine, the wedding's off. Keep your money. Enjoy growing old alone, Margaret, because that's exactly what you deserve. She turned to Daniel. Are you coming? Daniel didn't move. He was staring at the papers on the table. The names, the dates, the pattern. Daniel. Ashley's voice sharpened. We're leaving. Now. You told me Richard was abusive. His voice was barely a whisper. You said that's why you left him. You said he was dangerous. He was. Then why did he try to kill himself after you took his money? Ashley's mask cracked completely. Keep your mother's blood money, she was screaming now. All of you. You deserve each other. She stormed out. The door slammed so hard the windows rattled. Silence. Daniel sat frozen, staring at nothing. Patricia quietly gathered the papers, gave me a small nod, left the room. Just me and my son. Daniel. He looked up. His eyes were wet. How did I not see it? I reached across the table, took his hand. 20 years since he'd let me do that. Because she was good at this. She's been doing it for 7 years. She knew exactly what to say, exactly how to make you feel special. He pulled his hand back, stood up, walked to the window. There's something else. My stomach dropped. I started checking our finances after you hired the lawyer, looking through statements, credit reports. He turned around. His face was devastated. Mom, she opened credit cards in my name, 3 of them. I didn't know about any of them. How much? $38,000 in charges. On top of everything you gave us, I'm $40,000 in debt, and I didn't even know it. $40,000. On top of my $52,000, nearly $100,000. That's what Ashley Morrison had extracted from my family in 18 months. I'm so sorry. Daniel's voice broke. I defended her. I said terrible things to you. I chose her over you. Stop. I stood up, walked around the table, pulled my son into my arms for the first time in I don't know how long. He sobbed. 33 years old. And he sobbed into my shoulder like he was 5 years old again. We're going to fix this, I said, together. She's not going to get away with it. He pulled back, wiped his face. What do we do? First, you file a police report for the identity theft. Then, we coordinate with Patricia. She's already building a criminal case. Criminal? Ashley has warrants in 2 states. By the time we're done, it'll be 3. Daniel nodded slowly. Processing. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't listen. We'll deal with that later. Right now, we focus on stopping her. We walked out of Patricia's office together. First time in months I'd been next to my son without Ashley between us. It should have felt like victory. But something was wrong. I could feel it. Ashley Morrison wasn't the type to just walk away. Not after everything she'd invested, not after being exposed in front of witnesses. She threatened me, called me pathetic, told me I'd regret this. People like her don't make empty threats. I dropped Daniel at his apartment, drove home, checked my locks, checked my Ring doorbell, made sure everything was secure. 3 days passed. Then the text started. Can we talk? I want to apologize. I know I overreacted. Thursday. I really do love Daniel. Can't we work something out? I can get you receipts. There were just some miscommunications about costs. Friday. Margaret, I'm begging you. Don't ruin my life. I have nowhere to go. Patricia's advice. Don't respond. She's throwing out lines, seeing what you'll bite on. It's called string theory. Manipulators do it when they're desperate. Saturday morning, I woke up to find a handwritten letter in my mailbox. No stamp. She'd come to my house. The letter was 2 pages. Handwritten, friendly tone. Explained that she'd made some financial mistakes in her past, but who hasn't? Claimed what she and Daniel had was real, and she just wanted a chance to prove it. I photographed every page. Sent it to Patricia. Then I called Daniel. She came to my house. Silence. Are you okay? I'm fine. But Daniel, you need to stay away from her. She's escalating. I know. His voice was tired. She's been texting me, too. Says she sounds genuine. Part of me. He trailed off. Part of you what? Part of me still wants to believe her. Even after everything. You know that feeling when someone you love says something that breaks your heart? When you realize how deep the manipulation goes? Daniel, she stole $40,000 from you. She isolated you from everyone who cares about you. She almost destroyed our family. I know. She came to my house in the middle of the night to leave a letter. That's not love. That's stalking. Long pause. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm messed up, Mom. I don't know what's real anymore. That's what she wanted. That's how people like her operate. I could hear him breathing, processing. I'm meeting with a fraud specialist on Monday for the credit cards, and I've been looking at therapists who deal with stuff like this. Good. That's good, honey. I'll call you after the meeting. And Mom? Yeah? Thank you for not giving up on me. I hung up, set my phone down, looked at the photograph of Robert on my mantle. We raised a good kid, I told him. He just needed a little help finding his way back. Sunday night, Patricia called. The investigator found something else. What? Warrants. 2 states, Colorado and Michigan. Identity theft charges. She's been running from law enforcement for over a year. My breath caught. She's a fugitive? Technically, yes. The charges are outstanding. She's been moving around, staying one step ahead. But now that we know where she is, you can report her location? Already did. I spoke with Detective Martinez at Cleveland PD. They're coordinating with Colorado and Michigan. Margaret, this is happening. She's not going to be able to run anymore. I should have felt relief, victory. Instead, I felt cold because Ashley Morrison was cornered. And cornered animals are dangerous. Patricia, what happens now? We wait. The police will move when they're ready. In the meantime, document everything. Every text, every contact attempt. If she shows up at your house again, call 911. And Daniel? I'd recommend he file his own police report, the identity theft. The more charges we stack, the harder it is for her to plead down. I thanked her, hung up, stood at my window looking out at the quiet street. Ashley Morrison thought she could destroy my family and walk away clean. She thought I'd be too embarrassed to fight back, too old, too tired. She was wrong about all of it, but something told me this wasn't over. The confrontation at Patricia's office had been the first strike. Now it was her move. And Ashley Morrison didn't seem like the type to go down quietly. I double-checked my locks, set my alarm, kept my phone by my bed. Whatever was coming, I'd be ready. because this wasn't just about money anymore. This wasn't just about a wedding I wasn't invited to. This was about stopping a predator before she destroyed another family. And I wasn't stopping until she was in handcuffs. Friday afternoon, Ashley's car appeared outside my house. You know that feeling when your blood goes cold, but you stay completely still? When every instinct screams run, but you make yourself watch instead? I stood at my window, watched her silver Honda sit at my curb for 3 hours, engine running, just waiting. She never got out, never approached the door, just sat there, watching my house. I called Patricia, document it, photos with timestamps, and call the police non-emergency line. We need a paper trail. I did exactly that. Took photos every 15 minutes, called Cleveland PD, filed a report. The officer who came out was polite, but couldn't do much. She's parked on a public street, ma'am. Not illegal, but we've documented the complaint. Ashley drove away 20 minutes after the cruiser left. She was testing me, seeing if I'd flinch. I didn't. Saturday morning, Patricia called with news. I've filed for an emergency restraining order. Given her history and the documented harassment, we have grounds. Hearing is Monday. Will she know? She'll be served, which might provoke a reaction. Be careful this weekend. Careful, right? I spent Saturday cleaning the house, organizing files, trying not to jump every time a car drove past. Around 4 o'clock, my doorbell rang. I checked the Ring camera. My stomach dropped. Daniel. And standing right next to him, Ashley. Are you kidding me? I opened the door, kept my hand on the frame. Daniel, what are you doing? He looked uncomfortable, guilty, like a kid caught sneaking cookies. Mom, Ashley wanted to talk. She says there's been a misunderstanding. Maybe we should hear her out. Behind him, Ashley smiled. That same practice smile I'd seen 100 times. Margaret, I know things have gotten out of hand. Can we please just sit down and talk? Like adults? Every cell in my body screamed no. But Daniel was standing there, my son, looking at me with those hopeful eyes, still wanting to believe the best. I stepped aside. Living room, 10 minutes. They sat on one couch, I sat on the other. Coffee table between us, like a battle line. Ashley started immediately. Voice soft, vulnerable. I know I've made mistakes. I should have been more transparent about the wedding costs. I got overwhelmed. The pressure of planning, the excitement. I lost track of things. She reached for Daniel's hand. But what I feel for Daniel is real. You have to believe that. I'm not some monster. I let her talk. Watched her performance. The way she tilted her head. The careful pauses. The eye contact that was just slightly too intense. She was good. Really good. Margaret, I grew up with nothing. My father left when I was 3. My mother worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. When I see nice things, when I imagine a beautiful wedding, I get carried away. It's a character flaw. I admit that. She dabbed at her eye. No actual tears. But I've never intentionally hurt anyone. The money you gave us, it was for the wedding, for our future. I made some miscalculations. I'd waited long enough. Ashley, how much did you take from Richard Vance? Her face flickered. Just for a second. Who? Richard Vance. Colorado, 2019. Your fiancé. Before James Brennan. Before Daniel. Daniel turned to look at her. Confusion on his face. You told me Richard was your college boyfriend. From years ago. Ashley's smile tightened. He was. Margaret is confused. I'm not confused. I pulled out my phone. Showed them the investigator's report. Richard Vance. Engaged to Ashley Vance? That was you for 9 months. Wedding scheduled for June 2019. Canceled 6 weeks prior. Richard lost $28,000. Filed bankruptcy 4 months later. Daniel was reading the screen. his face going pale. You said you'd never been engaged before me. I haven't. And James Brennan, I continued. Your husband. 8 months. Divorce settlement included $17,000 in spousal support. He called it, what was the phrase? I scrolled. Financial abuse disguised as love. Ashley stood up. This is ridiculous. Those are fake documents. She's trying to destroy us, Daniel. Don't you see what she's doing? But Daniel wasn't looking at her anymore. He was looking at me. Mom, is there more? $40,000 in credit cards opened in your name. 3 cards you didn't know existed. That's identity theft, Daniel. That's a felony. Ashley's voice went shrill. He gave me permission to. I didn't give you permission to do anything. Daniel was on his feet now. I asked you about our credit score last month and you said it was fine. You said we were in good shape. We are in good shape. $38,000 in charges I didn't make? On cards I didn't open? That's good shape? Ashley's mask was cracking. I could see the rage underneath. The calculation. She turned on me. You did this. You've been trying to break us up since the beginning. Jealous, bitter old woman who can't stand seeing her son happy. Ashley. Daniel's voice was cold. Stop. She's manipulating you. Can't you see? I said stop. Silence. Daniel stepped away from her. Physically put distance between them. You lied to me. About Richard. About James. About the money. About everything. Baby. Don't. He looked at me. His eyes were wet, but his jaw was set. I'm sorry, Mom. You tried to tell me. I didn't listen. Ashley made one last play. Reached for his arm, voice breaking. Daniel, please. I love you. Whatever I did because I love you. We can work through this. You stole $40,000 from me. His voice was quiet, devastated. You isolated me from my mother. You made me think everyone who cared about me was the enemy. He pulled his arm away. We're done. Ashley's face transformed. You know that moment in movies when the villain finally shows their true self? When the nice facade drops and you see the monster underneath? This was that moment. Her voice went flat, hard. No more performance. You think you've won? You think you can just walk away? She stepped toward me. Daniel moved between us. I know how to hurt people, Margaret. You just made an enemy. She grabbed her purse, walked to the door, turned back one last time. You have no idea what I'm capable of. The door slammed. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. Daniel stood in my living room, shaking. Did she just threaten you? Yes. We need to call someone. I was already dialing Patricia. Monday morning, the restraining order went through. Emergency protection. Ashley wasn't allowed within 500 feet of me, my house, or Daniel. Tuesday, Detective Martinez called. Mrs. Patterson, we've been coordinating with Colorado and Michigan. The warrants are active. And based on the evidence your attorney provided, we're prepared to move forward with charges here in Ohio as well. What happens next? We need to interview Miss Morrison. Given her history of flight, we'd like to do it at the station. Controlled environment. She's not going to come voluntarily. Actually, she contacted us. Wants to clear her name. She's coming in Thursday with a public defender. Patricia was against it. It's a trap. She's going to try to manipulate the narrative. Paint herself as the victim. I want to be there. Margaret, I want to watch her lie to the police. I want to see her face when they show her the evidence. Silence. I'll see if Martinez will allow it. Thursday afternoon. Cleveland Police Department. 3rd floor conference room. I sat next to Patricia. Detective Martinez across from us. Recording equipment on the table. Ashley walked in wearing jeans and a plain sweater. No designer clothes. No perfect makeup. Playing the regular girl now. The wrongly accused innocent. Her public defender was young, nervous, clearly overwhelmed by the file Martinez had assembled. Ashley sat down, looked at me for a long moment. Margaret, I'm glad you're here. Maybe you'll finally hear the truth. Martinez started the interview. Calm. Professional. Miss Morrison, let's begin with the wedding expenses. You received approximately $52,000 from Mrs. Patterson for various wedding-related costs. Can you provide documentation for those expenses? Ashley nodded earnestly. I have some receipts. There were miscommunications about the final amounts. The vendors changed their prices. I should have been more careful. Martinez pulled out a folder. We contacted the venue, Lakewood Gardens. Their wedding package runs between $2,800 and $4,200. You claimed $5,000 to Mrs. Patterson. That was for upgrades. They have no record of your booking. Ashley blinked. There must be a mistake. We were working with a coordinator. The caterer, Elegant Bites. No contract on file, no deposit recorded. The photographer, Hartley Photography. Same thing. No booking, no contract. Ashley's lawyer leaned over, whispered something. I may have exaggerated some of the costs. I was under a lot of pressure. Daniel wanted a perfect wedding. I got overwhelmed. Martinez nodded, like he understood. Then he pulled out another folder. Let's talk about Richard Vance. Ashley's face went tight. Colorado, 2019. Engaged for 9 months. Wedding canceled. Mr. Vance filed bankruptcy. 4 months later, he attempted suicide. I watched Ashley's reaction. Nothing. No flinch. No guilt. I don't know what that has to do with me. Martinez slid a newspaper clipping across the table. Local Colorado paper. Richard Vance's name in the headline. Mr. Vance told reporters he'd been financially and emotionally destroyed by his former fiancée. He lost his business, his home, his savings. He said, and I quote, "She made me believe I was special. Then she took everything I had." Ashley shrugged. Richard had problems before me. Mental health issues. I tried to help him, but he was unstable. He was stable enough to run a successful business until you came along. That's his version. Martinez pulled out another sheet. James Brennan. Michigan. 8-month marriage. Divorce settlement included financial claims. He's provided a statement describing a pattern of, quote, systematic financial extraction disguised as partnership. Ashley's lawyer was sweating. My client's past relationships aren't relevant to. They're relevant when they establish a pattern, Martinez cut in. Miss Morrison, or should I say Vance, or Brennan, you've been engaged or married 5 times in 7 years. Each relationship ended with significant financial loss for the other party. The total across all documented cases exceeds $180,000. Ashley was quiet. And then there's Daniel Patterson. Martinez spread out documents. 3 credit cards opened in his name without his knowledge. $38,000 in charges. That's identity theft. That's felony fraud. Ashley's mask finally cracked. Not tears. Not vulnerability. Rage. They all deserved it. Her lawyer grabbed her arm. Ashley, don't. She shook him off. You want to know the truth? Fine. Every single one of them thought they were too good for me. Richard with his precious business. James with his family money. Daniel with his doting mother. She looked at me. Eyes cold. Rich. Entitled people who never had to struggle for anything. They looked at me like I was beneath them. Like I should be grateful they even noticed me. She leaned forward. I just beat them at their own game. The room was silent. Martinez was recording everything. Patricia's face was carefully neutral. The public defender had his head in his hands. So yeah, Ashley continued, voice bitter. I took their money. I made them think they were special. And when I got what I needed, I moved on. That's not a crime. That's survival. Actually, Martinez said quietly, it is a crime. Multiple crimes. Across multiple states. He closed his folder. Ashley Morrison, you're being charged with felony fraud, identity theft, and elder financial exploitation here in Ohio. Additionally, you have active warrants in Colorado and Michigan. You'll be held pending arraignment. Ashley's face went white. What? You can't. I have rights. You have the right to remain silent. I'd recommend using it. 2 officers entered the room. Ashley's hands were cuffed behind her back. As they let her out, she turned to look at me one last time. This isn't over. I met her eyes. Yes, it is. The door closed. Patricia let out a breath. That confession changes everything. She admitted to a pattern of fraud on record. What happens now? Arraignment. Then we wait. The DA will likely offer a plea deal. Multiple felony counts, multi-state jurisdiction, she's looking at serious time. I sat in that conference room for a long time after everyone left. Thought about Richard Vance, who almost died because of her. Thought about James Brennan, who called it financial abuse disguised as love. Thought about Megan's father, who still couldn't talk about what happened. Thought about my son. The months of manipulation, the isolation, the $40,000 he didn't even know he owed. Ashley Morrison had destroyed families for 7 years. She'd perfected her craft, refined her technique, believed she was smarter than everyone. She wasn't smarter than everyone. She just hadn't met the right opponent. My phone buzzed. Text from Daniel. Detective Martinez called. Said it's over. Is it really over? I typed back. Almost. One more step. The arraignment was set for next week. Then the plea negotiations. Then sentencing. Ashley Morrison thought she was the predator. She was about to find out what it felt like to be prey. 3 weeks after Ashley's confession, I walked into a Cleveland courtroom and watched her plead guilty. You ever sit in a room and feel the weight of justice about to land? That's what it felt like. Heavy, quiet, final. Judge Carol Henderson presided. Gray hair, sharp eyes. The kind of woman who'd seen every lie and excuse in the book. The DA laid out the case. 7 years of fraud, 5 confirmed victims, over $180,000 extracted across 3 states. Identity theft, elder financial exploitation, a pattern so clear you could see it from space. Ashley sat at the defendant's table in an orange jumpsuit. No designer clothes now. No perfect makeup. Just a woman who'd finally run out of room to run. Her public defender had negotiated the plea. Guilty on multiple counts. In exchange, the DA consolidated charges. 1 trial instead of 3. Still plenty of prison time. The victim impact statements came first. Megan's father, Richard Vance, testified via video link from Colorado. He looked older than his 61 years. Tired, broken. She made me believe I was special, he said quietly. That I'd finally found someone who understood me. By the time I realized what was happening, I'd lost everything. My business, my savings, my home. He paused, collected himself. I tried to end my life 6 months after she left. I survived. But some days I'm not sure why. The courtroom was silent. James Brennan came next, flew in from Michigan, tall guy, mid-40s, still carrying the weight of what she'd done. 8 months? He said. That's how long our marriage lasted. She filed for divorce the week after she got access to my investment accounts. Took $17,000 in the settlement, called it emotional damages. He looked at Ashley. The only emotional damage was what you caused. 2 other victims testified. Families I'd never met. Same story every time. Charm, isolation, extraction, destruction. Then it was Daniel's turn. My son stood at the podium, hands shaking slightly, voice steady. I met Ashley 18 months ago. She was everything I thought I wanted. Beautiful, confident, believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. He swallowed. What I didn't know was that she was running a playbook. The same one she'd used on Richard, on James, on everyone who came before me. He looked at Ashley. She wouldn't meet his eyes. She convinced me to cut off my family. She made me think my mother, the woman who raised me, who supported me through everything, was the enemy. She took $52,000 from my mom for a wedding that was never going to happen. His voice cracked, and she opened credit cards in my name. Ran up $40,000 in debt I didn't know existed. She almost destroyed my relationship with the only family I have left. He turned to face Judge Henderson. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here because people like Ashley don't stop on their own. They move from victim to victim, leaving wreckage behind. Someone has to say, enough. He stepped down, walked past Ashley without looking at her, sat next to me. I took his hand, held it tight. Judge Henderson turned to Ashley. Miss Morrison, you've heard the impact of your actions. Do you have anything to say? Ashley stood, shoulders back, chin up. Even now, even facing prison, she couldn't let go of the performance. I did what I had to do to survive. That was it. No apology, no acknowledgement of the lives she destroyed. Just justification. The judge's face didn't change, but something in her eyes went cold. Miss Morrison, I've been on this bench for 23 years. I've seen fraud. I've seen manipulation. I've seen people who made mistakes and people who made choices. She leaned forward. You made choices. Deliberately. Repeatedly. For 7 years, you targeted vulnerable people. You exploited their loneliness, their trust, their desire to be loved. You extracted their money and left them with nothing but shame and debt. Ashley's face was stone. One of your victims tried to take his own life. Another lost his business. Families have been torn apart. And you stand here telling me you did what you had to do? The judge shook her head. You're a predator, Miss Morrison. You target the vulnerable because they're easier to manipulate. That's not survival. That's cruelty. She picked up her gavel. On the charges of felony fraud, identity theft, and elder financial exploitation, I sentence you to 4 years in state prison, followed by 5 years probation. You will pay restitution totaling $187,000 to your victims. Ashley's face finally cracked, just for a second, fear flickering behind the mask. Additionally, you are prohibited from contacting any of your victims or their families. Any violation of these terms will result in immediate return to custody. The gavel came down. Court is adjourned. 2 officers approached Ashley, cuffed her hands behind her back. She turned to look at me as they led her out. I met her eyes, didn't look away. She was the one who flinched. The door closed behind her. Gone. Patricia was waiting in the hallway. It's done. She'll serve at least 3 years before parole eligibility. And, with the restitution order, her wages will be garnished for decades. Daniel was quiet beside me. Processing. What about the money? He asked. Will we get any of it back? Patricia was honest. Restitution is ordered, but collection is slow. She has no assets. When she gets out, whatever she earns will be garnished. But realistically, you might see pennies on the dollar. Daniel nodded. He'd expected that. It was never about the money, I said. Patricia smiled slightly. No, it wasn't. The next few months were about rebuilding. Daniel moved out of the apartment he'd shared with Ashley, found a small place downtown. Nothing fancy, just his. He got a better job at a design firm. Real salary, real benefits, real future. And he started therapy, twice a week at first. Then once, she's helping me understand how I got manipulated, he told me over dinner one night. The isolation, the love bombing, the way Ashley made me dependent on her approval. He pushed food around his plate. I feel stupid, like I should have seen it. You're not stupid. You're human. She was a professional. He looked up. You saw it. From the beginning. I saw warning signs. But I didn't want to believe them either. I wanted you to be happy. Even when it cost you $50,000, you're my son. I'd spend $50,000 more if it meant getting you back. He was quiet for a long time. I'm going to pay you back. Every penny. I drew up a payment plan. Daniel, you don't have to. Yes, I do. His voice was firm. Not because you're asking. Because I need to. I need to prove to myself that I can do this. Be an actual adult. I looked at my son. Really looked at him. He was different. older somehow. The blind spots were gone, replaced by something harder. More aware, Ashley had taken a lot from him. But she'd also burned away the naivety, the need to be rescued. Okay, I said, we'll set up a payment plan. But no interest. And if you need to skip a month, you skip a month. He smiled. First real smile I'd seen in a long time. Thanks, Mom. The restitution checks started coming in April. First one, $8,000. Split among the 5 victims, my share was $1,600. Not much. But it was something. Insurance came through too. $12,000 recovered from the fraudulent credit card charges. Patricia negotiated settlements with some of the wedding vendors. Turned out Ashley had made deposits using fake accounts, and the vendors were willing to return what they could to avoid legal action. Another $7,000. Total recovery. Maybe $4,000 of my original $52,000. You know what? I didn't care. Some people think revenge is about getting even, getting back what was taken. It's not. Revenge is about making sure they can't do it again. About standing up when it would be easier to stay down. About choosing to fight even when the odds are against you. Ashley Morrison was in prison. Her victims had closure. My son was free. That was worth more than $50,000. 1 year after the sentencing, Daniel threw me a surprise party. Small gathering. My book club friends, Patricia, Megan Lawson, who'd become a friend, a few of Daniel's coworkers, for being brave enough to fight, he said, raising a glass. For not giving up on me, for saving me from the worst mistake of my life. I cried. Couldn't help it. Later that night, I visited Robert's grave. First time in months I'd gone alone. We did okay with him, I said to the headstone. He stumbled. But he got back up. The stars were out. Clear Ohio night. Beautiful. You would have seen through her immediately. You always were smarter than me about people. I touched the cold stone, but I figured it out eventually. And Daniel's going to be fine. 2 years after Ashley went to prison, Daniel got married. Not to some stranger he'd met online. Not to another charming woman with expensive tastes and empty promises. To Rachel, a middle school English teacher he'd met at a literacy volunteer event. She was warm, kind, equal parts stubborn and sweet. And she actually wanted to get to know me. Your mom's amazing, she told Daniel at their first dinner at my house. Anyone who fights that hard for their kid is someone I want in my life. Daniel looked at me across the table. Yeah, she is. The wedding was in June. Garden ceremony at a botanical center outside Cleveland. Small, intimate. Nothing like the extravagant fake wedding Ashley had planned. Daniel asked me to walk him down the aisle. Dad would have wanted you to, he said. And honestly, so do I. I wore my Navy suit, the one I'd worn to confront Ashley. The one that made me feel like I could take on the world. The ceremony was beautiful. Simple, real. At the reception, Daniel gave a toast. I want to thank everyone for being here, especially my mother. He turned to face me. 2 years ago, I was engaged to someone who was destroying my life. I didn't see it. I didn't want to see it. And when my mom tried to tell me the truth, I pushed her away. His voice caught. She could have given up on me. She had every right to. Instead, she hired a lawyer, built a case, stood in a conference room, and told me everything I didn't want to hear. He raised his glass to my mom, who loved me enough to tell me a truth I didn't want to hear, who fought for me when I couldn't fight for myself, who never gave up, even when I gave her every reason to. The room applauded. I wiped my eyes. Some victories take years. This one was worth every day. As for Ashley Morrison, she served 3 years and 2 months. Got out on good behavior. 6 months later, she violated parole. Tried to run the same con on a widower in Indiana. Got caught because, get this, Megan Lawson had set up a Google alert for all of Ashley's known aliases. The moment Ashley's name appeared in a police report, Megan called the authorities. Ashley went back to prison. Another 2 years added to her sentence. Her criminal record follows her everywhere now. Every background check, every job application, every rental agreement. Some people think prison rehabilitates criminals. Ashley Morrison isn't a criminal. She's a predator. And predators don't change. They just find new hunting grounds. But not anymore. Not Ashley. She's trapped now. Trapped in the prison of her own choices, her own patterns, her own inability to be anything other than what she is. Last I heard, she was working a minimum wage job in some small town in Ohio. Wages garnished, credit destroyed. No one who Googles her name would trust her with a nickel. Meanwhile, I'm 70 now. Still in my house, still going to book club, still volunteering at the literacy center. I started a support group for families who've been targeted by romance scammers. Meets twice a month at the community center. We share stories, share warning signs, help each other heal. Megan's father, Richard, he finally came to a meeting last year. First time he'd talked about what happened publicly. "You saved me," he told me afterward. "I was ashamed. I thought I was alone. Knowing other people fought back, knowing she's in prison, it gave me something I didn't have before." What's that? Hope. Daniel and Rachel bought their first house last spring. Small place in the suburbs, 3 bedrooms, big yard. "First major thing I've accomplished on my own," Daniel said as he signed the papers. "No one else's money, no one else's credit, just mine. He's going to be a father soon. Rachel's due in October. I'm going to be a grandmother. Funny how life works. Ashley tried to take everything from me, my money, my son, my peace of mind. Instead, she gave me clarity, purpose, a stronger relationship with Daniel than we'd ever had before. And now? A grandchild on the way. I think about Robert sometimes, what he'd say about all of this. Trust your gut, Maggie. It's rarely wrong. He was right. It took me too long to listen, but I got there eventually. Some people ask if I have any regrets, if I'd do anything differently. Honestly, I wish I'd started fighting sooner. I wish I'd trusted my instincts the first time Ashley asked for money. But regret doesn't change the past. Action changes the future. I took action, built a case, exposed a predator, protected my family, and in the end, justice was real. Justice was sweet. And Ashley Morrison learned what happens when you mess with the wrong mother. If this story hit home for you, if you've been through something like this, or you know someone who is subscribed, I've got more stories like this one. Stories about fighting back, about refusing to be a victim, about karma with receipts. Because the thing about predators, they count on silence. They count on shame. I'm done being silent.